Okay, well, welcome everyone. My name is Tanis, Dr. Tanis Gaitens, and I am so excited to welcome you today to our Discover Arbonne event. This, as I was saying, is one of my favorite formats, having a panel of three Arbonne entrepreneurs to share a business overview with you, as well as some pieces of their stories. And for our guests who are joining us today, I want to thank you for spending time with us, and thank you. All I want to ask for you is just to, listen with an open mind, because you may hear something amazing either for yourself or for someone that you know. And what I always love when anyone's taking a look at the business side of Arbonne is for them to make an informed decision and to get enough information. So this could be a piece along the way. Hopefully, you'll hear something valuable. Um, Okay, so I have here with me today two team members and colleagues here to share I'm just going into speaker mode here, to share from their experience here today. So I'm so excited to have Dr. Gultaj Somani and Lenka Stolar, and I'm especially thrilled to have Gultaj here today because she is actually leaving, and actually in large part due to her Arbonne business. She and her husband Rasul are able to go off on a 6-month European adventure. I'm sure she's going to tell you more about that. But she's able to run her business from her phone while she's out sailing in Scandinavia and camper vanning around Ireland. But she probably may not be with us here to share in this kind of format. So I'm so excited to have you hear from her today, because the next opportunity is probably going to be in October. And Gultaj is in Port Moody outside Vancouver, and we have Lenka Stolar over on Vancouver Island. All three of us have 20 years experience as Arbonne entrepreneurs. So you're actually going to be hearing from 60 years of Arbonne experience here this evening, and I'm really excited for you to hear. So, just a little bit about me, and then I'm going to jump in and ask Gultaj and Lenka some questions, and you'll be able to hear from them. But I'm coming to you from just outside White Rock, BC, very close to the border with Washington State, and my background is that by profession I'm a child psychiatrist, but by passion I am an Arbonne independent consultant and executive regional vice president. I am originally from the Vancouver area. I grew up here, but I moved away to go to medical school and spent 10 years in Calgary doing medical school studying, and then doing a residency in family medicine and psychiatry. And I ended up, my studies in medicine took me to the Philadelphia area to do my specialty training in child psychiatry. And I've just moved back here to the Vancouver area 6 years ago this month, actually. It was June of 2019 that we came back after many years away. So how Arbonne found me was that when I was working as a very busy child and adolescent psychiatrist, in a residential treatment center and also in an inner city, what they call in Philadelphia, behavioral service unit, I was introduced by a coworker who was a fellow Canadian, and she had gone on a maternity leave. And she asked me to host an Arbonne get together so that as a part of her training, that she could practice sharing the brand. And that's how I was introduced. As a physician and a mom, I fell in love with the safety of the products. That was the first thing. The pure, safe, beneficial products and the strict ingredient policy, the clean, vegan, all of that. And so I wanted safe products for my family. Started using them with very low expectations that they would actually work, that they would, and then my family was blown away. Everything we used was so high performance. We got results right away. And pretty soon I realized that I better get a discount with Arbonne because we were going to be repeat ordering. And fast forward later, I started to think about that these kind of amazing products that are consumable, with people like myself falling in love and then repeat ordering, could be a good business opportunity. But back then I wasn't looking for a business. I was just looking for good products. So my adult acne cleared up, my skin tone evened out, my daughter's teen acne cleared up, my other daughter's uh, eczema, we say there, eczema in Canada, but anyway, the dry, itchy skin cleared up as well. We were getting amazing results and just falling in love with more and more products. What happened for me was that after a big gap when I had my third daughter, I realized that I did not want to go back to work full time when she was 12 weeks old. And that's when I finally took a look at the business side of Arbonne and went with a goal to replace, um, to fill in the gap so that I could go part time and be at home part-time with my newborn and my teens. And when I took a look at the compensation plan, that I was actually blown away. So I jumped in with both feet, and that's 20 years ago. I had never, and so that's what happened for me. And that allowed me to go back when my daughter was 5 months old, part-time, 3 days a week, 2 days a week. And by the time my son was born, he turned 18 not too long ago. It allowed me to go on a very indefinite maternity leave that I didn't return to medicine from. So fast forward now, 20 years later, I am actually more in love with this brand, with the products, with the company, and with my partnership with Arbonne than I've ever been. I'm so excited and happy to share with you. So I wanted to next, first of all, I'm going to ask Dr. Gultaj Somani. So Gultaj is my BFF from med school. She is actually the first person to earn the Arbonne White Mercedes. That's a bonus in British Columbia. She has been a trainer on the main stage at GTC, our Global Training Conference, and at our Canadian National Training Conference, and a top award winner of MVP trips. So multi awards, and so Gultaj, could you share a little bit how did Arbonne find you?
Yes, thank you, Tanis. So I also just celebrated my 20-year anniversary just shortly after you. And this is my 18th year as a national vice president, which is at the top of the company. And my life looked so different back then, as did all three of us. I was a really busy family physician. I was the medical director at Simon Fraser University. I had my own segment on a television show. I did some radio work. And really, my whole life had been about building my career. As a young doctor, I'd spent a year and a half traveling and volunteering in South Asia. Um, and I was totally devoted to and fulfilled by my work. That is until my daughter Sophia was born. I remember holding her and um, having a total shift in my priorities. She became priority number one, and but my career in medicine really didn't allow for that. I was also the main income provider in my family. So for the first 4 years of her life, I missed every milestone, like those first steps and the first words. Um, and everyone would say, oh, that's just guilt. But it wasn't guilt, it was a longing to be able to be more present in her life. Um, However, I really felt totally stuck. I mean, what else could I do? I was already highly educated. I made a great income. What I was wanting was a way, it kind of sounds hilarious in retrospect, but, and I remember when I wrote it down in my journal that what I was wanting was a way to make the same amount of money working part-time with more flexibility and control over my schedule. And at that time, I thought that was just a crazy dream. I mean, did such a thing even exist? So I did what many people do. I stayed comfortably uncomfortable. And un really until I was pregnant with my second daughter. And we lost her late in the second trimester, and that loss devastated me. Tanis, you and I connected a lot during that time. And I realized that Sophia might be my only child. And that is when Arbonne found me. My best friend, Tanis Gaitens from medical school, um, introduced me to Arbonne. And although I was very skeptical, in fact, I thought she might have lost her mind. I, you know, I looked at the compensation plan and I saw that with this business, it was possible to leverage my time, have control of my schedule, and really create a healthy six-figure income. My husband, who's a homeopath, he was really impressed with Arbonne's ingredient policy. I knew nothing about ingredients. In med school, we don't get taught that. I don't think that's changed at all. But Russ, my husband, really understood the herbal ingredients and the ingredient policy, and he thought that Arbonne was very impressive. And so I jumped in with both feet and I applied all the same principles that I needed to become a doctor. And I think that this is what's really important to convey is that this business requires work. It requires commitment. Um, but it can bring you so much and give you so much more flexibility and freedom than anything else out there. So I was disciplined, I was committed, coachable, I worked hard consistently, I overcame obstacles, and I was willing to grow personally. And within 7 months, I promoted to the regional vice president level, the first one in BC. And that allowed me to drop my practice to part-time. And 2 years later, I promoted to the top of the company. So my story is not typical. I encourage everyone to go to earnings.arbonne.com to see what is typical, but I also really want you to look at what's possible. Um, because that's what gave me hope when I started. I only needed to know that with Arbonne, I could create the life that I wanted. And so I did.
Thank you so much, Goltaj. And now I'm going to introduce Lenka Stolar, and you'll see how our stories are interwoven here in a very beautiful kind of way. But Lenka is a former actor. She is a published playwright and author. She's currently working on some very exciting creative uh, endeavors that I don't know if I'm allowed to share, so I won't. She's a mom of two boys. And Lenka, I would welcome you and ask you to share, how did Arbonne find you?
Sure. Okay, awesome. Hi, everybody. And yes, it is exciting stuff, but I won't spend time on this call talking about those things, but I've got good things going on. I do, honestly, I know we do a lot of calls and we talk with various people, but we don't always have the three of us together being able to speak at the same time. And it brings me so much joy thinking about how we all originally met. And here we are 20 years later. But Arbonne did find me originally through product. I was not looking for another business, even though I have been an entrepreneur, even like as an artist, as an actor, and as a writer, and I was producing theater and various things, and I had a print publication and various things. You are an entrepreneur, so I've been an entrepreneur my whole life, really. But when Arbonne came into my life, I wasn't looking for another business, that's for sure. I was, however, interested in product because both my boys dealt with skin issues, eczema specifically for them. And I know I was always looking for good skincare for me. Like I was an actor, and my mama always told me to take care of my skin. So I was always curious about what things were, but I was not looking for a business. I did decide to host because getting stuff for free and discounts speaks to actors. And I had at that point in my life, I had just become a single parent of both of my two children. So I wasn't looking for something different. I felt like my plate was already at capacity in terms of what else I could put onto it. But I fell in love with product, which obviously tends to happen, right? I already knew I was going to switch over some other things because I was using protein already in life, and so to switch over to Arbonne, so that kind of made sense for my discount. But then the truth is, I ended up having a conversation with Goltaj. Well, actually, Goltaj first was the one who planted the seeds of, okay, you're enjoying your discount and that's great. And you're giving me referrals, and that's even better because I had some people who are already interested in product. But she said, you could be a consultant, like you could make this money and instead of me. And I thought, oh, aren't you cute, Dr. Lady? But I did understand write-offs as well, being self-employed my whole life. So I was like, if I could write off some products, we'll see. But that's really the extent of what I came for, was a discount and to try some product. And then Goltaj had planted that seed. And then one day Goltaj, Tanis, and I had a cup of tea. And I do love sharing this part because I know it was one of the things that Tanis asked me. that changed everything. I know it did. A little bit around what I was seeing as what I could get from Arbonne possibly. And one of those questions that she asked me was, what would make Arbonne worth it to you? Like if you were going to put Arbonne on your calendar, take it to hockey games with you. I was a hockey mom and, all the things. And so if I were to put Arbonne on my calendar, what would make it worth it? And I knew that number, and it was $1,200 a month, because I was like, as an actor, as you probably know, that if I don't land work for 6 months, I don't get paid for 6 months. And I was doing just fine. I wasn't broke by any means. But, that's a reality of the work I was doing at the time. And but $1,200 a month, the reason why that was that number was because that's how much my rent was in the co-op that I lived in Burnaby in beautiful Forest Grove. And so I was like, well, if I could make $1,200 a month, that would make it worth it to me. I wouldn't have to worry about that. And, that's just that extra income. And I said, can I do that? And Tanis said, well, yes, of course you can. And she said, you can do a lot more. And then she asked me what, and I was again not looking for bigger goals, but that felt like something that if I could achieve that in Arbonne, giddy up, let's go with this a little bit. And but then she did ask me, if you could have anything 5 years from now, what is that 5-year picture for you? Like if you could have anything, time and money weren't an issue. And I loved being asked that question, because I'm a big dreamer kind of person, but no one's ever asked me that question before. I'd never thought about it that way. And I did know that I wanted, I was taking airplanes a lot back then because I was traveling quite a bit for work, but I didn't get to bring my boys with me. I wanted their butts planted on airplanes right beside me, taking them to all the places so they could see all the things. And I wanted to be able to buy a house one day, which, like I did know those things, but so anyway, that's kind of how I was introduced to Arbonne, and the goals were not big in the beginning, but as soon as we started rolling and I hit those first goals, I went, why on earth would I not keep doing this? Because I fell in love with the company and what we were doing, and we just kept going.
So, Lenka, thank you so much for sharing, and I'm so glad to be here with you. And I remember that day so clearly back then. I wonder, could you share what were your fears and hesitations at that time? Can you remember?
Yeah, I sure can. Because the number one, I mentioned that I'd just gone through a life shift. I'd just become a single parent of my 2 boys, right? And my family didn't live around me. So I didn't have support around me. I didn't feel like I knew a lot of people where I lived. So support was one. And who would I ever talk to? Because I feel like now in my life, I'm pretty good about talking to people sort of anywhere, because I've learned a lot of skills from our mom, but I was not good at that stuff in the beginning. It terrified me to talk to someone I didn't know, or like go to, I don't know, I didn't even know how I was going to build my Arbonne business exactly. But so not knowing enough people, and of course money, right? If I didn't land work for 6 months, I didn't get paid for 6 months. So thinking of how much money would it cost me to start a business if I don't make money right away. But I will add to that, though, that one of the reasons why I did decide that, okay, I can jump in and do this, like even though my goals weren't really big, was because of the system that's in place. Like I said, I'd been self-employed my whole life, and every single self-employed venture that I have had, I didn't have mentors to show me the things. The systems weren't in place, the materials, marketing materials, all the things I always had to create on my own. And this one was like, okay, it's already all done. You just plug into it. So to me, it felt like, although it was scary, it felt like a bit more of a no-brainer. Like it's already in place. I just have to plug into it. So I thought, you know what, if I give it a college try for, 3 or 4 months, what do I have to lose? I'm not going to lose that much, So, but I definitely had them. Yes. And time, my 2 boys and all the things, time felt like I didn't have any of it.
Right, right. Well, you gave it a whirl, and you gave it a whirl with that entrepreneurial background. And I have to tell everyone that, don't be fooled by by Lenka's blonde hair, because she is really one of the smartest entrepreneurs that I know, and she is an inspiration to me in terms of how she organizes her time and how she accomplishes what she does. So thank you for Lenka for sharing. And Gultash, I want to ask you the same question. Do you remember what fears and hesitations did you have prior to starting your business?
Yes, I really do, because overcoming that has been such a big breakthrough for my entire life. And I think that that's really true for all fears that we have. They hold us back in ways that we don't realize, and overcoming those fears is such a key part of our personal growth. And Arbonne often confronts us with those fears and makes it necessary to overcome them. But my biggest fear was, what would people think? I mean, I was from a typical Brown family. Our career options growing up were doctor, lawyer, or engineer. I'm a doctor, my brother's an engineer, and if we'd had another kid in our family, she would have been a lawyer. And so my parents were very proud of that. And honestly, I was a little worried they would disown me. I know it sounds very dramatic, but yeah, I really was worried they would disown me when I told them that I had made this decision. Um, in fact, I had no idea how much they spent on anti-aging creams and supplements, and so they became my biggest marketing people as well as my biggest customers. And I don't think I had realized that that fear of what people will think had been holding me back from so many other things in my life. And breaking through that really freed me.
Wow, so you just brought back a memory for me, when when I came out to Vancouver to launch Sculptage and to bring my newborn to meet my family. Her mom did host one of her launch parties, and I remember that her dad took me down into a corner where she couldn't see us and just said, and he asked me, "Will she be successful at this? I want you to promise me that she'll be successful." And I remember saying, "Mr. Samani, I can promise that this business will work if she does." And obviously she did, because look at her now. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, so okay. Now, so Gultaj, can you tell us what excites you about this business now?
Gosh, well, I was just updating myself on the global training conference and what's coming. And when I finished all of that this afternoon, I was just like trembling with excitement. And I, of course, can't say anything about that. But I mean, there are so many things, and the answer I've been giving to this question has really been, and I've thought a lot about it, is that my favorite thing about this business is that it evolves with you. My life today looks completely different than it did 20 years ago. But I want to say that knowing what's coming at the Global Training Conference and seeing what's happening with Arbonne, I love that our company, Arbonne, continues to evolve and improve. And our products were really good when we started Tanis, but they've just gotten better and better, cleaner, and even more effective. Like, our products produce great results. They always have. They're highly performing, high performing products. No time for a nap today. High performing products. But we just continue to outdo ourselves. And I think that that's so exciting. But anyway, going back to what is, you know, exciting for me now and how this business has evolved with me is, Sophia, our daughter, is now all grown up. She's thriving. She has a career that she's loving. And since she went to university, Russ and I have made it a focus to just pursue new fun adventures. We converted our white Mercedes van. We got a white Mercedes van, courtesy of the Arbonne bonus, the VP bonus, and we put our motorcycle in a trailer on the back, and we drove across Canada and the US doing all the fun motorcycle roads for 4 months when she went to university. And it was so great because I have team all over Canada and the United States, and I could do workshops and discovers. We went to CNTC, flew from wherever I was. And the fact that we can work our business from our cell phone is so liberating. When you and I started, Tanis, you remember that first month we were faxing in our orders, right?
Faxing orders, yes, I was just talking about that last night.
And so, I think that that ability to have location freedom is one of the most powerful things we offer. And then since then, we decided to get a boat and we moor it in the Southern Gulf Islands, which is in the Pacific Northwest. And we've cruised through the Inside Passage for 5 months. We see whales and orcas and sea otters. And then 2 years ago, and we're doing this again this year, we did a boat trade with a Norwegian couple. She's an orca researcher, and she came out here and used our boat with her family, and we went to Norway and we sailed from above the Arctic Circle down to southern Norway. Um, and the cell coverage is phenomenal in Norway, even in the most remote areas. And we're doing that again this year, but this time we're going to sail more in Scandinavia, and then we're ending it with 6 weeks in Ireland. So I'm very excited about this upcoming trip. It's me and Russ and our dog Blue. Yeah, so I mean, I just don't think I could have a better gig than this, and I'm already booking calls with team members, so it's not like I'm going to be out of touch. The time difference is going to be strange, but we have almost 24 hours sunlight there for that first little bit, so it should be okay.
Well, I'm so excited for you. I might be, I'm, yes, so excited about that trip for you guys. And I have to tell you how rewarding it is. I have to, when I started my business, you guys, it was about me and my family, about me wanting to be home with my baby and they're available. I was homesick for my own kids, really. And, but what I never expected was how extremely rewarding it would be to help others achieve success. And two of them are right here with me on this call. When Lenka, as a single mom, was able to buy a home over on Vancouver Island in Victoria, she wanted to move back to the island, and to do that as a single mom because of Arbonne, that gave me, I still remember, it gave me like chills down my spine, and remembering it still does, and knowing that I had a part of that somehow, and seeing the answer to Mr. Samani's question about, and then the adventures that Russ and Goltaj are having, living their very best life with this location freedom. And for myself, I looking back, I didn't answer about fears and hesitations, but I was really fearful because I'd never sold anything. And then I looked back, I did work in a bakery once, but I was not good at it. I'm so much more suited to this. I actually got fired because I was talking obese people out of buying second cakes. And so, I love helping people with their health and wellness. But I was living in a country. It was, even know my neighbors because I was working so much, didn't have my family around like Lenka talked about, and didn't know very many people. But those are my hesitations. And I was afraid to call people. Well, nowadays you can text, right? You barely have to call. But I'm so excited now. This business has given me so many blessings to be able to be there to show up for the people at my life at super significant times. When my dad was ill, when my best friend had breast cancer, and everyone else had a 9 to 5, and I could take her to every appointment and be there every step of the way. Those are these that it gives you an ability to live life without regrets, and I'm forever grateful. It gave me the ability to move back here with 6 months notice, to move back to the Vancouver area. As a physician, it could have taken me several years to get a license to move back here, but when my mom needed us, we did it, and that was because of Arbonne. So I want to pivot to Lenka now and ask you, Lenka, what excites you about the business at this stage?
Yeah, well, first of all, you guys covered so much stuff that I would say completely. But I think what is really exciting right now is that, well, first of all, timing and trends in terms of our product and our company, you cannot beat it. Like, really, we're a leader in network marketing, direct sales. We are in social marketing. We're a leader that way. We're the ones paving the way in the products that people are looking for today. So like that part, Arbonne has always done. Is just timing and trends had never really caught up to us before. And now there just seems like the perfect jive of all of it going on right now, which is really exciting. Location freedom, I cannot express to you how much that means to me. And honestly, the ability to own my calendar whether that's today. So today I get to own my calendar where I go hiking every day. Like I'm out and I go with clients and things like that too. Like I make this business part of my lifestyle, which is what I believe. Like it's a designer business that way. Whatever your lifestyle is, because everybody's is different. There's ways you can use social media a lot. You can use it very little. You can do it at the pace you want to do it at. You can, share it however you want to. And there's not a lot of opportunities in life that where we get to do that and that it just goes with you. And I do happen to like to go places and travel a lot. And I like to be able to go for walk talks with my clients and things like that because it gives me joy. People want to work off their phones, and maybe you're more of a social media kind of influencer and that, fills your cup. There's so many different ways to do it that you just make it what you want it to be. And I do know that, like, yeah, before I was, my kids were my definite why. They were my driving needs was my children. I never wanted to miss a field trip. I was the field trip mom, like those kind of things. Now our life looks a little bit different, but now I have time to produce and do other things that I'm doing as well. So I don't know. I just feel like it's a designer business. I felt like that since the very beginning, once I got to know this company, and that has never changed. It's just, we're just getting bigger and better and all the good things.
I 100% agree. And, I think that this being I'm so excited, this being our 45-year anniversary of Arbonne. Arbonne has actually, as a part of that celebration, has decreased the requirements to promote to all the levels by 20% for this entire year. So it's just an amazing time to jump in because your efforts are going so much, like going even further this year. And it is, I love how customizable it is now. I think that's why, I've done this business on my paddle board. I can fly to New York to be with my granddaughter when I'm needed and work the business during her nap and after she goes to bed and travel and so many things. But one of the things I love in this last year is how we do have this system for success. We've really streamlined the tools. I love to say we can now run our business from 3 apps on our phone, and people are finding that so simple. So I am really loving that as well, and just so excited about what this year is bringing and the future. We're also owned by a French family-owned business now called Group Rocher. They are so committed and in love with Arbonne and committed to growing us. Arbonne's a 45-year-old company that's only in 6 countries globally right now. So we are in the US, Canada, UK, Australia, New Zealand, and Poland. But Group Rocher has headquarters and distribution centers in 100 countries globally. So when you start your Arbonne business, you actually get to be at the point where there's a lot of global growth that's going to be happening that you can be a part of, and that'll be coming. You'll see that. So, and just the tip of what I'm excited about. So Gaitens, I just want to ask you, as we're wrapping up here, how can this business help others? How could you see it helping our guests here or others? Can you start off with that? Okay, so she might not, she's not there right now. Lenka, do you want to weigh in on this one, or I'm
I'm
happy
here.
to?
I'm
Oh,
here.
there you are. Okay.
Yep, I'm here. I want to just say that, we've all heard how the business has impacted the 3 of us, but I think the most powerful advantage of having a business like this, and we probably would all agree, is that it really prepares you for impact. And impact can show up differently for people, right? It can be a divorce or our aging parents needing some more support or the death of a family member. It can be a child who has an illness or high needs. But life happens to all of us. And for me, the most powerful impact it had was after a few months of promoting to national vice president, I was sideswiped by an 18-wheeler semi, and I suffered a traumatic brain injury that ended my medical career immediately. Um, and because I had a thriving business filled with clients and an amazing team of business builders who stepped up into leadership, and Tanis, you were able to support my team. You knew all the people. I was able to take the time to heal. And I also had the resources for medical care of things that weren't covered. And, mine is an extreme example, but I think that this business really prepares our life for impact. So I always say, even if this is not your plan A, it's a powerful plan B. And you can build it, um, use the tax write-offs. You know, it was just tax season, so I'm just so aware of how beneficial this business is to my tax picture. And it can become a plan A at some point in the future when the timing is right. So I think that's the way it really can be there for every single person.
Right. Well, you know what? I think I was just talking about Ovi and I were talking about preparing for impact this morning and how this business can be that umbrella or that parachute for you that you build, and much better to build it before you need it. Although when you need it, you can still build it. So what I love is that we offer to everyone, we introduce this brand, we share these incredible pure, safe, beneficial products that are high performance, that are studied for safety, for clinical results, backed by a 90-day money-back guarantee. And we let people choose whether they would like to get the products at a discount and $20 in Canada, $29 in the US, to get 20 to 35% off for a year with all kinds of loyalty rewards. So popular. Or if you'd like to jump in to become an independent consultant. But listen to this, you guys, it's $65 to become an independent consultant in both the US and Canada. So this is not a huge investment. This is a very small investment with also minimal risk in terms of time, because you can build it alongside what you are currently doing. $65 nowadays, it could be, a couple going out for dinner, right? And not even an anniversary dinner. Like, for that amount of money, you can start a business that has a potential to become, the sky's the limit. It can become your own Arbonne empire. See earnings.arbonne.com to see what is typical. But a lot of times people say, well, what if I jump in and what if it doesn't work? But what I'd like for you to get your wheels turning is, what if it does work? What if it does work? What could be different in your life? Who could you be helping? How could you change life for yourself and your family? And maybe how could you even begin to make an impact in the world in some of your giving back kind of dreams once your family's needs are met? When those wheels start turning, um, you know, you'll start making all kinds of connections. So I really want to leave you with that. I want to thank Lenka Stolar and Dr. Gultaj Salmani so much for being here to share the Arbonne business opportunity with you today. And I want to thank everyone who's taken the time to join us, whether you are watching live or listening to the recording. We appreciate you. We know that your time is your most valuable asset. And when you spend a little bit of it with us, we truly believe that it is worth your while to learn more about this incredible brand and company, business opportunity. And also you get a little bit of a sense of the community as well. Thank you so much for joining us.